We're going to be working today on calves and ankles, and I put a whole bunch of notes together for me. And, we've been working on hips and knees and quads and hamstrings, but today we're going to be working on ankles. But keep in mind, and I can't emphasize this enough, that our legs are not just these steel pillars. That our legs are they're made up of all kinds of muscles and joints, so that you have to sort of treat them as not just as something that doesn't move. So, for example, if you've got something going on with your knee, well, maybe it has to do with your knee, but maybe it also has to do with your hamstrings or your quads. So you want to take a look at, here we have this beautiful part of our structure called our legs, which start at our little thing called our feet, and then work up to ankles and work all the way up to the hip area right in here and into our lower back. So you want to take a look at what part of my legs and hips and back am I utilizing, and what am I focusing on this and not focusing on that. So our legs are not separate from the rest of our bodies, and I can't emphasize that enough. Everything in our bodies is connected to everything else. And that means that if some part of your body isn't working up to your specs, it might not be that part of your body. It might be something else that's related to it. Make sure that when you're working today and working and every day, that you're elongating your movements as much as you possibly can. And that's just not for your spine. It's not just when you're sitting in a workshop right now, but throughout the day. Am I standing as straight as I can? Am I stretching out as much as I can? If I'm reaching for something, am I reaching for something as far as I can? I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have your every day, from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to sleep at night, appreciate with gratitude, really, what your body is capable of doing. So you don't have to go to a gym. If you like to go to a gym, that's just great. If you like to take an hour workout, that's just great. But what about the rest of your day? You want to take a look at, can I make my whole day one set of movement? And when you think about little kids, when 3, 4, 5-year-olds, they're always moving their bodies around, or many of them are, in all kinds of ways. You can too. So think about how you're functioning today, for the rest of the day today. Am I really letting my body expand and open? So let's go back into the joints. Last week, if you remember, we talked about the knee joint. We talked about it being a hinge joint. I'm going to change the picture for myself. Hold on a second, please. Okay. And we talked about the hinge joint. The knee being a hinge joint, meaning that it extended and it flexed, and it extended and it flexed. Well, that's a hinge joint. And we talked about last week in the knee that there are structures that are holding it in place so that it doesn't wobble all over the place. Maybe it has a little bit of movement left to right, a little bit of movement forward and back, but its main purpose is to extend and flex. And when you're extending it, the quadriceps are doing the work, and when you're flexing it, the hamstrings are doing the work. The ankle joint is also called a hinge joint, but it's a little bit different. Those are called synovial hinge joints. This is a synovial hinge joint. Or shoulder is a ball and socket joint. This is a ball and socket joint, but they're also what's called synovial joints. And the reason why it's synovial is because synovial fluid is being secreted to keep everything moving. So think of your ankle, for example. Here's your ankle joint. It can plantar flex. I can do this. It can dorsiflex, plantar, dorsi, just like the knee is extending and flexing. Now, it also can invert and evert, and it also can swivel a little bit. So you can see that the ankle has a lot of mobility. So well, sometimes if the ankle gets stiff in some way, well, then that's going to affect the shin. It's going to affect the calf. It's going to affect the knee. It's going to affect the quads. It's going to affect all of this all the way up the chain. So you want to make sure, how can I keep my ankle in great shape? And I know that a lot of times we'll talk about, or some people talk about synovial fluid. Well, what the heck is synovial fluid? We have hundreds of joints in our body. A joint is where bones come together. 2 bones come together, 3 bones come together, 4 bones come together. Wherever bones come together, that's called a joint. Where they, on the inside of the bone, is what's called articular cartilage. Cartilage is it's tissue that allows the bones to touch each other and slide to each other without causing pain. As soon as the bones start to move, the cartilage, which could be as thin as just a millimeter thick, up to maybe 5 or 6 millimeters thick, it's sort of like a sponge, and the sponge holds synovial fluid. And synovial fluid is like WD-40. It's an oil. It's a kind of a thick, viscous oil. As soon as you start moving bones, as soon as you start moving a joint in any way, in any shape, in any way, the sponge, the cartilage, the articular cartilage, squeezes out some of the synovial fluid instantly, which makes the sliding really nice and easy. And as soon as you stop moving that joint, like the synovial fluid, most of it is absorbed back into the cartilage. So that's why it's so critical that you keep your joints moving, whether it be in your fingers or whether it be in your wrists or whether it be in your ankles, wherever it is. You want to keep the joints moving so the cartilage, which should last a lifetime, that's holding the synovial fluid, will stay in great shape. I use my own body as a laboratory, and as I'm getting older, I know that I'm the oldest guy in this workshop. I'm noticing how there are parts of my body that are starting to stiffen up, that I'm not stretching quite as far. I'm not taking as big a steps as I could once upon a time. What's that all about? Because what it's about is that when you slow down and you don't have the same flexibility of these joints, of the bones that are moving, pretty soon, not pretty soon, but over a period of time, the cartilage starts to dry up. That's the best thing I can say. It starts to dry up, and of course, as it starts to dry up, the synovial fluid that's in the cartilage, that kind of dries up too. And next thing you know, it's not easy to take that big step. It's not easy to take your ankle and twist it around. Not only is it not easy, it's impossible. So we want to make sure that as we're going through everyday experiences, just ordinary life, that you move your body in as many different directions as you possibly can. Let's see. Okay, so we know that we have plantar flexion and dorsiflexion in the ankles. I'm going to talk a little bit about the calves right now. So we have this great big muscle back here called the calf. This part of your calf, the top part, is called your gastrocnemius. And there's two shin bones. The main shin bone that we talked about last week is your tibia. And then alongside of it on the outside here is your fibula. And at the top of your fibula, the soleus muscle begins. So you have in your calf the gastrocnemius and the soleus, which is under it. It's actually starting up here, but it doesn't really start to show until it's here. And the soleus muscle connects to the Achilles tendon down here. So that's what your calf is made of. You have this big, this wonderful, massive muscle right in here. When your knee is bent and you're walking, your soleus is doing most of the work. When your leg is straight, your gastrocnemius is doing most of the work. So if you're walking up a hill, for example, and your knees are going to be bent because you're walking up a hill, your soleus is doing a lot of the work. So I'd like everybody to stand up right now and just take 5 or 6 steps in one direction and then walk back. Just in the normal way that you walk. Just the normal way that you walk. Nothing special at all. Okay, come back to your seat or wherever you are. And by the way, the props that we're going to be using today are a ball, a blanket, a yoga block, or books that can be the same as a yoga block. And I brought a couple of things that I use for every day myself, but I'm not going to talk about them now. I'll talk about them at the end. These are props that I use every day of my life. Anyway, when we're doing these exercises today, you can either do them, some of them, you can either do them sitting down, you can either do them standing up, some of them will be against the wall, or you can take your blanket and stand on the blanket to give you a little bit of balance and a little bit of unevenness with your foot. You want to, as much as possible, have an uneven terrain if you can, because having this unevenness by standing on a blanket will give you your ankles a little bit extra work, a little bit extra movement, and it'll help on balance. So let's get going right away. We all know basic calf stretches. So we're not going to go into basic calf stretches. Today's workshop is going to be on mobilization, which is movement, strength, and stretching. So we all know that maybe you'll get through the walk and you'll end up leaning against the wall and pressing your calf out like so. If you're bending your knee, doing it a couple of times like this. This is stuff that you see, we've all done it. We'll stretch out our calf. But keep in mind that you want to have your calf, just like every other muscle, not just work in a single plane. You want to have it be moving around. You have this big pear-shaped thing called your gastrocnemius, your calf muscle. How can I approach it in a variety of different ways? And that's what we're going to be doing in today's workshop. So I won't be necessarily holding every pose for the length of time that you can get the most value. This is from it. This is going to be completely up to you when you take these different ways to explore your ankle and your calves so that you can get the most value from it. let's just start. I like standing. If you want to hold on to it, that's just hold on to something for balance. That's just fine. You can hold on to your chair. That's just fine. Or you can just stand and just balance. And what I want you to do is I want you to make circles with your ankle. I want you to have the circles. You can be sitting down if you prefer to make circles like so. But what I want you to do is I want you to have the circles go as slow as you possibly can. So let's start with your right foot. This is not using your knee. It's not using your hip. It's using your ankle. So slowly roll that ankle around. Big and as slow a circle as you can. And circle in the opposite direction. Once again, you could be standing like I am. I could be holding on to something like I am, or you could not. What's up to you? Slow as can be. Let's go to the other foot. Sitting or standing. Make the circle as slow as you can, and really can. I make my ankle do the work and not my knee. Slow it down, slow it down, slow it down. I know that for me, my left ankle is way less mobile than my right ankle. Let's go ahead and make the circles go in the opposite direction. You can look down. What is my foot doing? Is it really making a circle, or is it kind of like just wiggling around from side to side? Can I make this articulation with my circle, with my ankle, as easily as I should be able to? This next one, I prefer sitting down for this next one. You can stand up if you're due. And all we're going to do is just do the alphabet with our legs. So bring your right foot out. And we'll make capital letters, capital A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Notice when you were doing that, by the way, you can do that standing up as well. I like it doing that particular one sitting down. For me, it really isolates my ankles. You might notice that on some of the letters it was a little bit more difficult than the others. Let's do the left foot. Same thing. You can either hold your leg up if you want, or just lean back. And let's just begin. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Okay, check it out. For me, as I said before, my left ankle isn't nearly as mobile as my right ankle. You can stand, once again, you can either stand on a towel or not. You can use the chair or not. And last week, if you remember, one of the things we did for the knees was a rocking back and forth dorsiflexion, plantar flexion of our feet. This time we're going to do it standing up. Before last week we did it sitting down. So just rock back and forth and back and forth, trying not to stick your butt out too much. Try to have the movement be in your ankles. So I'm coming up to dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, dorsi, plantar, dorsi, plantar. Again and again and again. High as you can. Are you coming up as high as you can on your toes? Are you coming up as high as you can when you're going into dorsiflexion? Or are you having to compensate by putting your butt out? So really see how much articulation you can have in your foot right there. Standing again. Last week we sat down and we did inversion and eversion, but this time we're going to do it standing up. So when you're rolling onto the outside edges of your feet, that's called inversion. When you're rolling on the inside version ankles of your feet, that's eversion. In, so roll your feet. Have your feet be maybe hip distance apart. Roll one way, roll the other. Roll, roll, roll one, roll, roll. Get those ankles going both directions. A few more seconds. Nice, nice, nice. We're going to do some walking now, just plain old walking. But one of the things that I had you do before, when I had you get up and just walk 5 or 10 steps one way or the other way, was to have you start to realize, change this just a little bit. Have you start to realize how little we dorsiflex and plantar flex when we're walking. So for the most part, we're lifting our foot up just to the point so it can clear the ground. We're not really dorsiflexing much. And when our foot comes back, it'll come back so your heel comes up so you can then swing your foot forward. But is it really coming up? That doesn't mean that you have to walk in this strange way, by lifting your foot up and coming back. I mean, that'd be nice if you walked back that way, but it'd be kind of odd. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do very deliberate heel slow walking, just so you can get a sense of what it is to really walk that way. So step forward with one foot. Come up on the back toes of the back foot. And when you can't go any further, feel as if there's a wind behind you, pushing you. Hip extension, and then bring that foot forward. Again, stretch, lift that back heel up, step. And each time you do so, see if you can get a little bit more heel down, toe up. Dorsiflex, plantar flex the back foot, dorsiflex, plantar flex, dorsiflex, plantar flex, dorsiflex, plantar flex. Notice if you're making your body do something strange. Is your butt sticking way out? Can you be vertical while you're doing this very slow and very deliberate walking? What we're attempting to do right now is to start to have your ankles really and your feet start to really do some good work for the rest of your leg. Let's raise one leg up, doesn't matter which one it is. And then, if you need to hold on for balance, that's perfectly okay. Raise one leg, flexing your hip as much as you can. And now, rise up on your back toe. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down you go. You can be on flat ground, or As I said before, you can stand on your uneven, your little wobbly blanket. Other foot now. Up you go. High up on your toe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down. Other side. Flex. Lift up on that back foot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down. Up. Raise up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down. Up with the other one. Raise up. Raise that back foot up. Back heel up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Down. Up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Try it. If you go on a blanket, try it on flat ground. Raise the foot up. Raise up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And down. Try it without holding on. I was holding on, so I'm going to now try it myself. Maybe I'll lose balance. Up you go. And up. Oh, it's way harder. Oh, I can't even get up. Try it with the other foot. Up. It doesn't move. I need to have my hands help me. What's that telling me? It tells me that I need some work on my ankle and on my calf. Let's go to seated now. We'll do some inversion and eversion. So sit down on your chair. This time we're going to hold. Put your feet out. As if you're trying to clap your soles of your feet together. Hold. Hold. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's evert now. Keep your feet either together or slightly apart, but have the little toe side of your feet come towards you. So you're pushing the big toe side towards me, trying to make your feet open up a little bit for 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Shake your feet out. Take your towel or some object. It doesn't matter. It could be a towel. It could be a stick. It could be just a magazine. It doesn't matter. But I want something on the floor. It doesn't have to be far apart. And all I want you to do now is standing on one side of it, step over, balance for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Step this other way. Balance. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back. 5, 4. Yeah. Notice how I'm having to tap my foot down. Can you do it? Can you do it? Back and forth, making your ankle, the standing ankle, do some work. Now we're going to do the same thing, either with a towel or with some sort of an object here on the floor, or not. But what happens is when we're walking, we have our body weight on our foot. When we do a little bit of a jump, we put a little bit more extra pressure on our ankle. So all we're doing right now is instead of stepping and balancing, let's get a little hop. 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 You either have something on the floor that you're going over or not. Hop. 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 Don't hurt yourself. Hop. 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 Notice how you're making your ankle do something that was a step above just stepping across. Let's just do single leg balance. This is balance. Don't hold on unless you absolutely have to. Stand on one foot or the other and bring your foot up. For 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Other foot. Stand, balance. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and finish. I usually brush my teeth standing on one foot or the other, or switching around. These kinds of things you can do all the time. How does it feel to stand on one foot? What kind of strength are you giving for the calf and for the ankle? What kind of little minor exercise are you doing that's really good? Now, this next one, maybe you'll be able to do it, maybe you won't, but it's definitely going to make you a demand on your foot and ankle. Remember, I started this workshop off by saying that everything is connected. So it's not your ankle is all by itself and your calf is all by itself. Everything is connected. So we're going to sit down and we're going to just stand and sit and squat. So you're standing and you're sitting and you're standing and you're sitting and you're standing and you're sitting. That's what we did last week for knees. Now, can you stand and can you put one foot out and sit using or stand? Can you put one foot out and do a single leg squat? Can you sit down? Can you stand up? I can't. Try it. Try it a few times on your own. Single leg squats. Up, go, and down you go. Up, up. I'm not getting anywhere at all. But think about it. If you can, great. That's a wonderful little thing to do. Next time you're sitting down somewhere, instead of getting up in the ordinary way that you do, maybe what would it be if you got up using one leg only?
Then that counts. Huh? Mm.
We're going to do some heel raised walking. Now, heel raised walking, you can raise your heels and you can just kind of walk along like this on the balls of your feet. For most people, that's pretty easy to do. But I'd like it to be a little bit different with this one in that I want you to raise up and then take the other foot, raise up on your toes, and take one foot and dorsiflex. I didn't do that well. Not just stepping like this, but what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to dorsiflex and step down. Dorsiflex and step. Dorsiflex and step. Dorsiflex and step. Dorsiflex and step. Coming up as high on your balls of your feet as you can. So it's not just throwing your leg forward, unless you have to. Come up a little higher. Dorsiflex. And put your foot down. Dorsiflex. Down. Dorsiflex. You should be feeling a lot right now in your Achilles tendon. Walk back and forth and back and forth. Dorsiflexing. Use your arms for balance. Take your time. Right? It's a slow, deliberate walk. You're probably learning something about your own balance ability right now. A few more seconds. Calves might be talking to you right now. Are you coming up? Are you raising your heels off the floor as much as you possibly can? Almost as if you were a ballet dancer. Stretch up a little higher. Come on, you can do it. Heels up nice and high. Your gastrocnemius, that big calf, pear-shaped muscle at the top of your calf, is probably talking loudly to you right now for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew. Shake it out. Pretend that there's something on the floor or have something on the floor. It could be your towel wrapped up. It could be nothing at all. It could be a board. Or it could be an imaginary line on the floor. Whatever it is, your feet are going to be reasonably together, and you're going to hop from one side to the other, like so. And then you're going to hop back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, over that object or not. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Shake it out. The thing about these hops and jumps and lateral moves is that for the most part, we don't do them. For the most part, we spend most of our life just plantar flexing, dorsiflexing, plantar flexing, dorsiflexing, walking along. Whether we're walking or whether we're running, we're probably not making our feet go this way and that way. And when you raise your feet off the floor, even a tiny bit, and land, what's it's doing is it's creating some nice muscle movement and muscle work for your ankles. Let's see. Heel walking. Now, we did before, we did plantar flexion. Now on our heels. So, dorsiflex, dorsiflex. And walk on your heels, trying not to lean over like I'm leaning over. Try to be as upright as you can be and walk on your heels. Notice if your butt is sticking way out. And you be more upright. How's it making your calves feel? 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17. Stay up on your heels. Don't let the balls of your feet come down, and you stay on your heels the entire time. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Whew. Shake it out a little bit. Now we're going to go through the, let's see, here, let's both take one for, I'm just kind of talking to myself right now. Apologize. Stand with your feet together or slightly apart. Just lift up. Nothing more complicated than that. Up and down and up and down and up and down. Where is your weight? Is your weight on your little toe side? On your big toe side? What are you automatically doing without kind of even thinking about it? Now, either using something for balance or not, take one foot and bring it behind the ankle of the other foot, and then come up and down again. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Other foot. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're using something to lean on, don't put a whole lot of pressure in it. Put as minimal pressure as you possibly can, just so you don't lose your balance. You want to try it without? Oh, quite a bit of difference. Can your heel come up just as far? Maybe it can, maybe it can't. Squat jumps. Remember I said earlier, anytime your feet leave the floor, you're going to create a little extra pressure. So we did squats, in the last couple of workshops, squats, we are just going back, but this time, as you squat, jump, squat, jump, squat, jump, squat, jump, squat, jump, squat, jump, squat, jump. 3, 2, 1. Making your ankles do something that they don't normally do. Now, basically, we're going to go through this very quickly. This whole workshop is being recorded, so you can do it on your own. So set up some blocks or something near a wall. Put your balls of your feet up on the books. I've got some magazines right here. And all I'm going to do is go up and down. So I'm starting at a bit of a dorsiflexion and then rising up as much as I can. The purpose of having your feet elevated to begin with is to have you starting in a bit of dorsiflexion. You could have do the same thing, but this time do it with one foot. Up and down and up and down. Same thing, up and down, up and down. Same thing against the wall. You could do this seated. You could have something out in front of you. You can have a dorsey. You can have a yoga block. You can have some books sitting next to each other, like so. Up and down, up and down. You can put your hands on your knees to get some extra pressure. If you have some heavy weights, you can put some weights on it. You can do one foot at a time. Play with this. What is going to be the right movement for you? You can face the wall again, as we did before, but maybe this time, instead of having magazines or standing on something, maybe you're on flat ground, and you're going to pulse. Just bouncing. And when you start getting tired, keep on going. It's so easy to, well, I've gone far enough. Time to quit. Well, maybe it is time to quit, but maybe it's time to push yourself for another 5 seconds or so to have your feet do a little bit more bouncing around. Here's another movement that you may not have seen before. You'll stand near a wall with your side close to a wall or far away. Bend your inside knee, so your outside leg is away from the wall, and then lean into the wall and then raise up and down on that outside foot. What's that doing? Is it creating some work on a part of your ankle that you don't normally work on? And how is that affecting your calf? How is it affecting your hamstrings? Let's go to the other side. Same thing. Lean in, up and down on that outside foot. Look how you're making your feet and your ankle do things that they don't normally do. You can just do plain old squats again, but in a different way. You can squat, stand, lift your heels, down. Squat, stand, lift your heels, and down. Squat, stand, lift your heels, and down. Squat, stand, lift your heels, and down. Notice how I'm incorporating, just adding a little something to make sure that my ankles are doing some work. And keep in mind, of course, as your ankles are doing some work, so are your calves. Here's a very, what looks like a very simple one, but it's really not. Take your chair, like so. Put your hands on the chair. Have your feet be about hip distance apart. Have your back be as flat as can be. So I'm not rounding my back. And all I'm going to do is going to hang out here for a while. If you find that hanging out here, just doing this, isn't doing anything for you at all, come on down a little bit. Now you should feel this double calf stretch all the way from your hamstrings, from your butt, all the way down to the back of your knee, all the way down to your calves, all the way down to your ankles. Let your belly just hang down. You're not forcing anything. You're just letting gravity push you down. And stand up. Once again, you can do this at home and hang out there a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever seems to work nicely for you. I use at home this thing here. This is a half foam roller. If you have something like this, this is great. I highly recommend that you do. If you don't, you're certainly welcome to use a rolled up towel. And what we're going to do now is I'll use the towel so you can see what we're doing. I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to bring it on the towel. Heel is on the floor. I'm standing upright so that my shoulders are directly over my hips. So I'm not leaning it out like this. Now from here, I'm going to take my left foot and I'm going to bring it forward. My shoulders still over my hips. Great. If they are, step a little further forward. Keep stepping forward until you find that your butt is going back. Then you've gone far enough. And you hold out, hang out here. Once you've got this down pretty well, where you've stepped forward as far as you can, then take your foot and turn your foot sort of like a rainbow. Turn it out maybe 45 degrees and do the same thing. And hang out there for a while. making sure that your hips have not gone around, but your hips are still squared forward. Notice what this is doing for your calf. It's stretching your calf in a very different direction. Let's do it the other way now. I'm going to turn my foot in. Pigeon toe. Once again, I want to have my shoulders and my hips up straight over each other and step forward. This is pretty awkward. You might not be able to step forward as far. That's just fine. Hang out there for a while. Feel what it's doing for your hips. Just stand there like that. When I shave daily, or whenever I do shave, and I'm not shaving daily these days, but when I shave, I'll use not a rolled up towel, but I'll use this half foam roller, and I'll stand on it exactly the same way, bringing my foot forward. As much as I possibly can. The higher you have the ball of your foot, the more difficult it is to be able to stand up straight, and the more difficult it is to be able to bring the other foot forward. You might not be able to bring the other foot forward at all to begin with. That's just fine. What we're doing is we're just opening up the whole backside. I talked earlier about slow twitch and fast twitch fibers in our muscles. So this is a little bit of, I want to talk a little bit about that right now. You can sit down and rest if you want. Fast twitch muscle, fast twitch fibers are in all of our muscles. Slow twitch fibers are in all of our muscles. We're not talking about all of our muscles. I'm talking about all of our muscles. The ratio of fast to slow is genetic, or seems to be genetic. What that means is that if you have 40% in a particular muscle, if you have 40% slow, 60% fast, that's pretty well the way it's going to stay no matter what you're doing. People who have a lot of fast twitch fibers in parts of their anatomy, if they're runners, can be more of a sprinter. Whereas slow twitch, people who have more slow twitch fibers become long distance walkers or more long distance runners. Fast twitch fibers don't require any oxygenated blood or a momentary burst of speed. A couple of years ago, I was participating in the Washington State Senior Games in sprinting. And because of the fact that I have a condition in my leg, that I'll talk about that in a little bit, it didn't need oxygenated blood for me to sprint. So I was able to sprint. And I say that to you because when we're walking along in life or just being in life, for the most part, are we really using our fast twitch fibers in daily life? Chances are we're not, unless we happen to be in a particular sport. In a particular sport, you are going to be using your fast twitch fibers a lot. Imagine if you were a tennis player and you were standing and then you had to quickly strike a ball. That's using fast twitch fibers. Or if you were running and say soccer and you had to go back and forth and back and forth, that's using fast twitch fibers. But when we're walking along, we're not using fast twitch fibers at all. We're using pretty well slow twitch fibers. I'm very fortunate in that I have, about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with a condition called intermittent claudication. And for those of you who don't know what intermittent claudication is, it's the main artery in my right leg, the femoral artery, which starts right here at the groin and works its way all the way down to the knee. It's sort of nice big fat artery, and it has a lot of oxygenated blood flowing down and into my lower leg. About 10 years ago, I developed a cramp in my calf, and it was finally diagnosed that this artery that's supposed to be providing blood in my calf had gotten completely blocked, completely occluded. A bunch of tangled corollary arteries formed in here. So I now have, instead of a fire hose of oxygenated blood going down into my leg and into my calf and into the whole bottom part of my leg, I now have a trickle of blood going down there. So there's much, much less oxygenated blood going down into my leg. So when I was sprinting, I didn't need oxygenated blood to be down there. I didn't need it at all. Because all I needed to do was lift my knees high and sprint. But in ordinary walking, what happens is, because the fact that there's a minimal amount of oxygenated blood going down there, after a while, sometimes 10 or 15 minutes at the most, this calf hurts like hell. So it was really a gift that was given to me, that by having this, I know it sounds kind of crazy, a gift, but why it's a gift is because the treatment for this is to walk 5 to 7 days a week for at least an hour, and walk until it hurts so badly that I can't walk any further, stop, rest for a few seconds, stretch it out, massage it a little bit, and then walk again. So on days that I don't want to walk, too bad. I have to walk anyhow. So between 5 and 7 days a week, I'm walking to pain. But the theory behind it is that it's going to allow the muscles in my calf, and especially in my calf, to become more efficient at absorbing the little bit of oxygenated blood that's trickling down there. So on days that I don't want to walk, I walk. On days that it's raining and cold and I don't want to walk, I walk. So it really is a gift in some way. But the other thing about walking, for me, is I'm very fortunate. I live in northeast Seattle, and it's only about 10 minutes or so to go to Hamlin Park. Hamlin Park is in Shoreline. And I love walking in Hamlin Park because it's got such uneven terrain in some parts of the park. It's a beautiful park off 15th Northeast. But the thing about what I like about it, and I'm encouraging you to do it too, whatever park you go to, is don't always walk on cement. Don't always walk on flat ground. Do everything you can to walk on uneven terrain, uphill, downhill, making your ankles work in all kinds of ways. So I walk for an hour or so, 5 to 7 days a week over there at Hamlin Park, and I make sure that when I'm walking, I'm not walking on the cement trails, on the cement, but what I do is I'm walking on all this uneven terrain. Be careful, if whatever park you've gone to, if you haven't done that before, because it could end up causing some really aches and pains in other parts of your body. A couple of weeks ago, my wife walked with me in Hamlin Park, and I'm purposely walking off the trail and up and down and making my ankles do all kinds of funny things as I'm just taking ordinary steps. And she tried to follow me, and she did. But for the next few days, her lower back was killing her. It was really bad, and she had to do a lot of different kind of exercises to loosen all this up. So if you haven't done any off flat ground walking before, make it a point to do so, but ease your body into it. Last couple of things that we're going to do today, just really quickly, you'll take your ball, and you can take the ball and come down onto your knees. And what you can do is you're going to put the ball right in the socket, right behind your knee, and you can either have your toes turned under, or not, and then sit back. Squish the ball side to side, side to side. Move the ball down a little way so it's in a different part of your calf. Sit down on it. Experiment. Back and forth and back and forth. Use a tennis ball. You can use a yoga tune-up ball. Notice that there's a difference between having your toes turned under or having your toes plantar flexing. Try it on both sides. What you're doing here is you're taking the ball and you're massaging your calf, waking up the tissues. Nice. And the last thing that we'll do is you lay down on your back. And you'll bring one foot up, doesn't matter which one it is, and take your other foot and give the back of your calf a nice beating with the foot. Beating it all around, waking up your calf. Change legs. Deep, 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 deep. Start from way up your knee, going all the way down to your Achilles tendon. Beat all the way around. And that's it. That's your workshop for ankles and calves. And I'm now open for any kind of questions, comments that you have. Whew. Now, all the exercises that I gave you, you can unmute. All those exercises that I gave you, you can do them at whatever speed you want, whatever length of time you want. So if I was just doing something for 5 seconds and you want to do it for 30 seconds, by all means do. So questions, you can unmute yourself, and here I am, waiting for some questions from you.